This is Chapter 5, Social Reform in a Progressive Era. Social Darwinism, the political power of corporations, and the national preoccupation with upward mobility made it seem unlikely in 1900 that Americans would develop a major reform movement to address social problems. It seemed that the government could not implement social programs or enforce regulations, even if they could be developed. The emergence of social work. There is much controversy about social work at first. During the progressive era, people were wondering who was to work in the social agencies that helped people like immigrants, poor people, etc. That's where social workers came in 1920. In the progressive era, most single women were widows. The single mothers that needed government assistance were typically treated better if they were widowed than a woman seeking assistance that was divorced or deserted. If these women were to be without government assistance, they would be forced to work long hours, possibly even having to give up important parts of their lives, such as their kids, etc. The oppression of women. Women were being oppressed, and even though they were fighting back to get their rights, such as the right to vote, they were being denied. And it wasn't just women that were oppressed during the progressive era. It was also immigrants and people with certain mental health problems, as well as others. African Americans were also being treated unfairly. From both the South and the North, they were experiencing being unemployed, working as servants, or other grossly underpaid jobs. They faced job discrimination, and African Americans from both the North and the South had to cope with the adversity in seeking social reforms. Workers' compensation laws came, which provided a partial fix that most employers deemed acceptable, but some complications arose. The wages provided for certain injuries were extremely low, not enough to compensate for the injury. This was a social issue because there was a large number of people involved in this problem, and it affected many people's lives negatively. There was limited reform from politics. Reformers would have had problems helping workers and immigrants, even if they really wanted to, because the Supreme Court and state courts impeded social reforms at making a succession of adverse rulings. There's a thing to learn. Reformers in the progressive era failed at creating these reforms because it didn't get moved to the federal level. It is known that for people to get the help they need, a lot of times the government needs to step in. But if the government is not brought in, then they can't get the help they need.